What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Love and Rice Podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And if you guys are new to this podcast, make sure to do us a favor. Subscribe, follow. We are on all podcast platforms. That is Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio. Did I say Apple?
Yes, I think so. I don't know.
Did I say Spotify?
Probably.
Google?
Are you just testing me now? Because I don't remember.
You're not listening to what I'm saying? You're my co-host.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh. No. You got to step it up right now. And we're going to do this podcast.
Full disclosure, is that time of the month. And
what does that mean?
That means that I get the craziest headaches every time I'm about to get my period. So, like, I didn't even get it yet, but usually leading up to it, I start feeling symptoms. Like, I get bloated and I'll get these crazy headaches. And I'm like, I don't know how to get rid of it.
You know, I don't think I've ever heard a host on a radio show talking
about their menstrual cycle.
Yes.
Well, I have to put it out there because if I blank out like we just did and we just started this episode, you guys are going to know what's wrong.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. So please do us a huge favor and follow us on all podcast platforms. We're also on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. All right. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about going on vacations in an Asian family. You know, if I want to know if you ever really went on vacations as a kid because your parents came straight from Vietnam. My dad came straight from China. Mm-hmm. And so it's, you know, I wonder how they knew at the time to go to places when there was no internet, you know?
I feel like a lot of the times it's like word of mouth. So it's like having other family members or friends that are like, oh, have you gone to this place? And like just, I don't know, hearing about their experiences. And then you're like, oh, well, maybe we should go too. You know?
Can you imagine the research that you have to do for that without the internet? So first, you know, a family member says, hey, have you ever been to this lake that's about an hour away from LA? And they're like, what lake? And then you got to bust out your Thomas guide. And there's a 2-page booklet and you're looking through the maps.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I remember
physical
that.
paper maps. And you're like drawing, okay, this is where I go. And man, imagine. So, but the thing is, the good thing about like, you know, back then, they didn't have their cell phones for GPS or whatever. And if they lose signal, they got the Thomas guide.
Yeah, so it kind of protected or it prepared you for like any emergencies that happen in the future where electronics aren't going to work and you're going to need to bust out that map again. Right. I don't know who has one right now, but
what are some of the vacations that your parents have took you to as a kid?
You know, I can't remember too much.
And just to let you guys know, Christina's parents don't speak much English. So for them to go on trips had to have been amazing. Or were they amazing?
I mean, they can speak English. They can even speak Spanish, right? It's selective.
It's more like Chinglish.
True, but they can understand and speak more than they allow themselves to. But, I guess back then, though, like traveling as a kid with parents who did not speak English, they couldn't really get their way around.
Yeah.
They depended on us to speak to people and to ask them questions and to figure out our way around.
That sounds scary.
It is a little bit scary.
Imagine a little kid asking for directions in English, and then the person, if you ask the wrong person, what are they gonna think?
Yeah, but true. But at the same time, I felt like that was normal back then, and the world wasn't as scary. So you can ask people stuff, and they wouldn't be as judgmental, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. And people were more willing to help back then, but. Yeah, for me, when I try to think back on vacations, I can only remember snippets. And I feel like we probably didn't go to as many places. Like, so when I think back of trips that I've gone on, like Disneyland, for example, I know that we went, but I don't remember much of it. I think I was really young, like too young to remember stuff. Yeah. But then my mom...
So how did you know?
Because my mom always reminds me of this story where, I don't know if there's like a bridge that you have to cross or something. I think it's at Disneyland. And then she like tripped and fell like really badly or something. Yeah, and it was to the point where like she couldn't walk after or something like that. So she always brings that up and I'm like, oh, that's all I can remember about going to Disneyland. And then there's another trip where we drove to Canada and we just talked about it recently too. Yeah. But I don't remember much of it. All I remember is
why Canada?
I think they just wanted to explore like Vancouver. and I think they wanted to take the kids to SeaWorld, right? SeaWorld in Canada.
I have no idea.
think
Just,
so.
I know it's in San Diego, which was 2 hours away from your house in California.
Yes. But I don't know. I don't remember much of it. I don't remember how old I was. But I feel like I only remember traumatic moments of it, or it's more
Like,
of like
what happened?
well, it's not so traumatic, but like I just remember us renting like 2 cars, and it was like my family and then it was my cousin and their family.
Yeah.
And we're following each other in the rental, and the only thing I can remember really from that trip is getting pulled over because one of the cars was speeding, and then getting a ticket for it. And another vague memory that I have, back then at SeaWorld, like they had those little it's like a ping pong toy, right? And then it has a ball and a string stuck to it, and you're just holding the paddle. You're like
yes, I've had one of
bouncing
those.
the ball off of it. Yeah. So I can remember that, but other than that, like that's all I can remember from those trips. It's like very short, small moments.
You never went on a trip as you got older with your parents, like 8 years old, 10 years old. Like those are the times you would remember the trips, right?
Not really. I think as we got older, I feel like we didn't really take as many trips. Like I remember going to Pennsylvania and going to
Really?
Hersheyland.
Wow.
Yeah, but I only remember.
And driving all the way to Pennsylvania?
I don't think we drove.
Oh, cool.
I don't think we drove.
See. This is what I'm talking about. Like Asian parents and Asian families, it's like they call you all the time and they ask you, what is this form? How do I fill this out?
Right.
What am I supposed to do? But for some reason, they know how to buy you an airplane ticket and get you to Pennsylvania.
Well, they probably, I think we went with my aunt and uncle, and they probably helped do everything. And my parents were just along for the ride.
I
And
see.
it was more of like, okay, we'll book all of this and then just pay for the stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah. Right. So
Okay.
that's pretty much how it's been for my parents. Yeah. I only remember some of these trips because of photos that we took, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Well, that
That's my
sounds like
childhood.
the normal Asian family childhood.
yeah. And I think because as we got older, we had school, we couldn't go to places as much anymore.
Yeah.
And my parents were just working all the time, so they just didn't really make time to go on trips. Yeah.
I mean, my parents worked a lot. They had their own businesses and, they still made time to go to places. I think because, how my parents are, they always have so many friends after work.
Yeah.
And so they always have different groups of friends to hang out with, and people are always inviting them everywhere, including trips.
Yeah. Your
And
parents
so-
are very social.
The only places that we went were places that they knew people. If they didn't know anyone, we wouldn't go there, and probably because they knew nothing about it or how to get there because there was no internet.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you know that there's this place far away for someone to visit? And they don't. Like you said, all word of
All
mouth.
word of mouth. Yeah.
So I remember we went to Vancouver, Canada one time. We flew there. I don't remember anything but big mansions and going
Wow.
to an amusement park. And I was like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years old. That's the only thing I remember about the trip. And it's because they knew people there and we were staying with their family.
Oh, wow.
And then other trips we went on were like, going to San Francisco, which was constant because half my family lives in San Francisco, right? We've never been to anywhere else like New York or Chicago or anything like that. Like they knew nothing about that. We would go on trips to, the one trip that they didn't know about, but they took us was Tijuana.
They took
They
you
took
to
us to
TJ?
Mexico. Yeah.
How old were you?
Ooh, elementary school for sure. I just remember going in there and it was like, it looked like a crazy third world country to me at the time, right?
Yeah. What was
there's
the reason for going there?
Vacation.
Oh, wow.
It was
to
vacation.
TJ.
Yeah. All I remember is walking around their like street fairs and people trying to sell you stuff at all these stores, kind of like a Mexican farmer's market type of thing.
Right.
And I just remember, like maybe I'm a 6-year-old kid or 8-year-old kid at that time. And I see another kid my age coming up to me with a box of chiclets and trying to sell me some
Like
gum.
working, right?
Yeah. And
That's
I'm
crazy.
like, whoa, what's going on here? So it was kind of crazy. But that's, I didn't know about the dangers of Mexico at that time.
I feel like maybe it wasn't as dangerous back then like it is now, right?
Yeah.
Because I've gone to TJ, but I went like in my 20s, and it was already like,
But without your parents, right?
yeah, without my parents, like
Yeah.
with friends and stuff. But even then, like you're already kind of sketchy and stuff because you don't know where you're at,
It's
but
just
you've
not
heard
worth it,
stories,
man.
right?
If you don't
Yeah.
know the place, it's just not worth it.
Did your parents know people that were there?
Nope. That was the
Oh.
only one where we didn't know people.
Oh, wow.
The furthest place we ever went was to China. I went twice when I was like when I was like maybe 14, 15, 16. And then, no, I think I was like 18 actually. And then again when I was like 21.
That's nice. Like I've always asked my parents about going back to China, and they're like, but why would we want to go back? We left for a reason. We don't want to like bring back old memories and stuff, because all the stories that they tell us about being out there, like they weren't good, you know?
Well, I think the questions you're asking your parents might be different, right? You're asking, can we go back and see your house or whatever? And they're like, no, like I left that place because I hated it, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not
So-
even asking to see our place or anything like that. I just want to explore it. But I think at the same time, for them, living out there is different from wanting to go back and explore, because they don't have good memories
Yeah.
of being out there. Yeah.
I mean, so like, you know, my parents wouldn't ask me, do you want to go to China? It was just my dad would go often.
Yeah.
And then I would say, hey, can I go?
Oh, I
You know,
see. Because he was
so
already going.
I went with him one time, twice. And it's like, it's more of like, we're going to go see all the landmarks, Great Wall of China, you know, the place where they have all those soldiers in the ground, right? All the statues. Let's go to Hong Kong and things like that. So it wasn't even places that my dad suffered, you know, but he did bring me back to his village, you know, and that's because he had a reason to. He had his dad and his grandpa buried there, and you know he would go visit and stuff like that. So, you know, that was the only reason why we would go there. But other than that, there was no other reason like your parents to ever see where they suffered.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that makes sense. Okay.
So, but I think most of the trips that I took with my family, obviously, you know, Disneyland, Magic Mountain, stuff like that. I do remember those as a teenager. My mom would actually drop me off at Magic Mountain with my brothers.
Oh, wow.
And then pick us up later.
I mean, I can see why. Magic
Why?
Mountain is pretty scary for grown-ups, because even us thinking about trying to take them to Magic Mountain when they're older, I'm like, dang, I don't even know if I can handle it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, but at that time, my parents were probably like our age, you know, in their
True. I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know.
So-
Maybe they're trying to conserve money, and they're like, oh, we'll just take you guys. There's no point of paying for tickets for us to go, and you know, you guys can do
yeah,
whatever you
maybe
want.
they knew that we would try to pressure them to go on some roller coasters. and stuff.
Probably.
But I think the funnest trips I ever took with my parents was actually we would go camping in California. And I just remember one time we went, I don't remember where we slept. I don't remember if it was in a tent or not. I just remember fishing, catching a lot of fish. I remember riding my bike everywhere, you know, and that was it. I only remember that, riding the bike and fishing. Nothing else.
Yeah, because camping is so simple. I do remember going on some camping trips too, and I remember one time like we set up like a tetherball pole. Like we would bring it with us, and you just put it into the dirt.
Yeah.
And then we were just playing with it the whole time, and like riding bikes and just kind of swimming, like going to the lakes and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? And I feel like with camping, it's so simple and so easy. Like even though there's so many things that you have to pack, but you get to stay in one place together, and
Yeah.
everything is like walking distance.
Well, that's kind of funny. So like when I went to go ride my bike, I would go ride it by myself or with family friends, and we're away from the parents. We just go right off, and like they never said stay away from, you know, the bears, the mountain lions, or anything, the coyotes. They
That's
just let you go.
true.
And it's like
Yeah.
it's dark, you know,
Mhm.
like it's all dirt. It's
That's
crazy.
how like free it was, and carefree that it was, like that we didn't have to worry about that stuff. Like
yeah, it's crazy. Now that I think
yeah.
about it, it's crazy. I mean, now talking about our own family stuff, like you, me, Leia, and Enzo, what do you think were some of the best family trips we've taken the kids? And were they worth it?
I mean, I like every trip that we go on with them,
Yeah.
but I would say that my favorite trip still would still be Hawaii.
You think they're gonna remember that?
Yeah.
I think Leia will remember going to the beach in Hawaii,
yes.
and that's it.
Yes.
Enzo won't remember anything.
Probably not, because at that age, like they're still really young. But as of right now, they still remember because they remember what we're doing, sitting outside of the balcony, like watching the beach and the ocean and stuff. And I feel like that's why they always remember the water. But also because when we're in Hawaii, we're going to the beach like every day pretty much.
Beach, oh yeah, that's true. So like if we're there for 10 days, we're going at least 20 times.
Exactly.
Right. So it should be ingrained in them. But the moment they go to school and they're getting overloaded with all this education, those memories kind of start to fade.
Right.
Right. So where else have we taken them? San Diego.
San Diego, yes. Those
Hawaii.
trips are fun too.
Well, we took Leia to Japan, and I don't think she remembers anything from Japan.
No, not at all. Only when we show videos, and that's why I like having them, because they're always like, "Oh, well, can we watch it?"
That is why we started YouTube in the first place, was for all the memories, so they can look back on. And so I would love to take them on these crazy family trips, but I want them to be able to remember them, you know, because the amount of money that we have to spend, I want them to remember it. You know, so right now at this age for them, I probably wouldn't do any international trips with them. Maybe just that China trip that we've been talking about, because, you know, there's only an opportunity this year.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good point because of the money that you have to put in and planning. And usually when you're going to international trips, you want to make the most of it. You want to be able to walk around, explore as much as you can.
Yeah.
But when they're this young, it's kind of hard because they get tired very easily. They will complain about like being bored about something, right? So it's kind of like they can't keep up, and they're not going to remember a lot of it. So.
I mean, if we really want to go, I'm down to carry Enzo. You know what I mean? Once he gets to the complaining phase.
True. But I guess like if we want to make memorable trips, then it's like waiting, like is right now, or when is the best age for them to be able to travel and start remembering stuff, you know?
I would say in one more year, Leia will probably remember everything forever. Right. She's about to be 7 this year. When she turns 8, she should remember every trip that she's going to take, you know? Enzo, he's still got a couple years to go before he can get to that phase.
Yeah. But even for me, like I can't really remember too many trips, like around 7 years. I think as I got older, just like from talking about everything, though, my parents went to Vegas a lot.
Oh yes, we did. We did go to Vegas a lot.
A lot of Vegas trips.
Yep.
Because it was driving distance. It wasn't too far.
And it was repetitive.
Yeah, it was very repetitive.
Like always going to circus, always watching shows.
Yep.
Always having buffets. Like that's all I remember about Vegas was going there to watch shows.
And the buffets, yeah. You're right. And then when they're ready to go out and do their own thing, like the kids would just all be together in the room sleeping. Right?
I forgot how old I was. I was like in elementary school. And at that time, we would always stay at the Riviera or the Flamingo. And they were like one of the...
Flamingo I've stayed at.
There were great hotels during that time in like the 90s, right?
Yep.
And so they would take me to this show, and it was called Splash. I think this was at the Riviera. Splash. So on the stage is a humongous aquarium. It looks like the size of a movie, okay? But it's an aquarium tank. Mm-hmm. And mermaids and girls are jumping in there and splashing and all this stuff. And that's why it's called Splash.
Was that around the time where... Was Splash? Is that a movie about the little... about a mermaid woman? I think with Tom Hanks, and it was like another...
I don't remember.
Goldie Fawn?
Could be.
I don't remember. No, I don't remember. But yeah.
So
I think
I just remember we get free tickets to watch that every time we go.
That's interesting.
At one point, they started changing it to be a little more exotic.
Oh,
and so
interesting.
The only time I really remember the show was when they jumped into the tank and all I saw were just titties.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, there's titties everywhere. And then my mom was like, what's going on? You know what I mean? She's like hiding my eyes and stuff. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is an amazing show. And I think I was probably like 8.
Being exposed.
Yeah, I was probably like 8 years old. And I was like, wow. You know, that's all you know, from watching that show like maybe 5 times, the only thing I remember is that part of the show now.
Wow. Were your brothers there too, or was it just
Yeah, we
you?
were all there.
Okay.
And then my mom got mad at my dad, like, "Oh, you didn't know about this?" And he's like, "I don't know. We see this every year,
Yeah, that's
right?"
so interesting.
So
I mean, it's interesting that you guys would watch the same show every year too.
because it's the resident show, right? I don't know. It's like seeing the Cirque du Soleil shows, right? But
Yeah, true.
if
And
you
it's
get free,
probably more affordable too compared to the
yeah,
Cirque du Soleil
and they're
show.
free tickets. They're complimentary,
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I
yeah,
would have done the same.
right? So
Yeah.
it's like they get to gamble and then take us to a show, and it's
Oh,
easy.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So,
interesting.
um, let's see, where else have we taken the kids? That's pretty much it, right? We haven't. I really want to take them around the United States to Chicago, New York, and places like that, and let them explore. I just do feel like they're still a little too young, but I mean, I
You
don't
know,
know.
we even went to San Francisco, but we took Leia when she was like a baby still,
Yeah,
right? So I feel like we stopped taking trips for a while because first of all the pandemic, and with two kids, it was a lot harder.
dude. So taking kids on vacation is like when you're at home, you're pretty much babysitting the kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you go on vacation, it's like babysitting the kids. You know, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So it's not really a vacation when they're so young.
Yeah, so when I was trying to think of the best trip, like if I could pick the number one, right? I had to really outweigh the pros and cons with like camping, for example, in Hawaii. And I was like, which one is my favorite? So like with camping, I felt like it was cool because you got to connect with nature. And it was really cool like, exposing them to it because like we went hardcore camping.
So okay, so no one even knows this yet. We I think you might have seen a vlog this week that came out, but
Yeah, because
we
got
just
back.
went camping
Mhm.
and we've never done it before.
Yeah, we've never even
know,
gone together.
We have not gone together, not with the kids, and we picked the most extreme place to go. We did it with a tent. You know, this was not glamping or anything. It was a tent, portable stove, portable, like we had a shower. It was a bag of water with a spout, and we used that as a shower because they didn't have showers there.
No electricity.
No, exactly. And so I was so excited to go on this trip, yet also a little bit scared.
Nervous. Yes.
Because I'm like, what if they don't like it? You know, there's so many times when I hear people say, why don't you just try camping in your backyard first and see if they like it? I was like,
Mhm.
I don't want to do that because if they don't like it in the backyard, they're not going to
There
like it
goes your
somewhere
camping
else.
trip. Yep.
Right. Like, let's just take them there and they just got to deal with it. We got to deal with it no matter what happens. And man, I think camping was the best trip that we've ever done
Yeah. I mean, it was.
over Hawaii.
I don't know about that because with camping, like it was so cool to experience that and put them into like the most hardcore camping that you can do, like pitch black at night. And no one complained. Like we would have to walk to the restrooms, and we would have to walk to throw out trash because we were in an active beer zone. So we couldn't leave food out. We couldn't leave like scented anything, like soap and stuff like that. So we would always have this flashlight that we would have to walk with to get to places. And then going to the restroom, like we would have to have that flashlight on because there was nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
But like they liked it and they liked the experience, and they weren't afraid. But at the same time, I'm like, yes, camping is very simple because I didn't have to wake up and get ready as much. Like it was just very simple, right? We didn't have to get like too dressed up. Everything was walking distance. But at the same time, it was also more work.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But I feel like the huge benefit to the camping with the kids was the growth that I saw, you know? And so, you know, like you said, when we're at night using the bathroom before we go to sleep and we got to walk like 5 minutes to go use the bathroom. Remember, before the trip, Enzo was scared of the dark, right?
Yeah.
In our house.
That's right.
So at night when we're sleeping, he'll wake up and he would be closing his eyes, walking down the hallway, and he'll be crying or...
And we have a light in the hallway specifically for him so that if he wakes up, he can just come into our room.
Yeah.
But then like sometimes he'll turn on the light and it'll be completely bright and he's still walking and he's like covering his eyes the whole
he just
time.
goes, scary,
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you scared about? He's like, monsters. You know, there's monsters, and he doesn't like walking in the dark or even sleeping in the dark. You know, he has to have his door wide open and stuff. So
Right.
we went camping and every night was pitch black. Mind you that we went 5 days
Yeah.
extreme camping, okay, in a tent. And all 5 days, there were no complaints about the dark. He didn't think that there was monsters, and I
That's
told
so
him
true.
when we were walking in the dark, I said, Enzo, how come you're not scared right now of the monsters and the dark? And he said he liked it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like they were so intrigued by the whole experience, and I think it's awesome too. So like if you're gonna take your family camping, and you're gonna, because for us we went to two different spots because we wanted to experience different areas in Sequoia. And if you're gonna do that, I would suggest going the hardcore way of camping first, because this one was like no electricity, no showers, everything was just pitch black. And then we went to the second campsite where they actually had showers that you had to pay for, and there were restaurants and
But
things like that, and there was electricity.
it was also, well, there was no electricity in our campsite.
Right.
The showers were the most disgusting showers in the entire world, where I was like, maybe I don't even want to shower.
Yes.
So,
but I think after a few days of not being able to like really shower, because with the portable shower, it's solar powered. So we put water in it. You're bringing it with you. You're hanging it on like, I don't know, whatever you can, like on a tree or something, right? And then it's still not that warm depending on how hot it is that day, but like you're pretty much standing outside and wearing a bathing suit like trying to clean yourself. Like how clean can you get? So I think for me, going to that second campsite, I was like, oh my gosh, a shower, hot water.
I was fine with the portable shower.
Yeah.
And I was fine. We also got these it was a pack of body wipes, and the body wipe is
that
like
saved us.
a baby wipe, but like this size.
It's huge, and you can get it for like $6.
Right. And so we're cleaning our bodies with that, and that was probably what saved us the most. But
yeah, like that was cool, but I really appreciated that shower.
I just really loved the place that we went to. That was the first time I've ever been to Sequoia National Park, and it was the most exciting. This is, if you guys have never been there or seen it, it's where they have 200-year-old big redwood trees, and each of these big trees, most of them have some damage to them from 100 years ago, right? You'll see these big, it looks like a cave in the bottom of the tree trunk that's, I don't know, maybe 20 feet tall. And it's because back then, 100 years ago, when people needed shelter and when they're camping, they would purposely burn the tree and make this hole, and it looks like this triangle in the tree.
So they're like tenting in there.
They were tenting in there, and you can see that almost every big tree had that fire burn, which now they call scars. And I thought that was so cool to see, right? We took pictures there.
Very interesting.
They had all these landmarks to see. When we're sleeping at night, you hear the lake. I mean, you hear
river.
the river.
That was awesome.
Right? The river, the water's gushing down, and it's like a white noisemaker. And so we get to, go into the river. We get to fish in the river. The biggest growth I saw from the kids is, one was, being okay in the dark.
Yes.
Right? Remember, Enzo's 4 years old.
Right.
So I get it. I was like that up until like maybe 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we also did the longest hike we've ever done with the kids.
Yep.
This was a 3.4-mile hike round trip. And it was to get to the waterfall. Most of it was uphill, and the kids did it.
Yeah.
I was so surprised.
And it was hot too. Like I was getting tired, but the fact that they kept going, like there were like little complaints here and there, but they still did it. Like Leia fell on her butt and she hurt herself and she cried at one point. Like we even tried to bring a wagon for them because we were so worried about them getting too tired and just stopping. Like we probably made like 20 stops, if anything.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, we had to put the wagon somewhere and hide it, and hopefully no one would take it because we couldn't bring it with us.
Yeah, the path was too rocky. It was a real hike. There was no flat surface. And so, yeah, I had to, after about 10 minutes of the hike, I was like, oh man, I don't think we can use this wagon anymore. And it's so heavy for me to carry. I was just hoping like, they would walk most of the way, and the moment they would complain about being tired is when I would bust out the wagon, but it was not possible.
Yep.
So we went off trail and hid it behind a big tree, and I made all these markings to make sure that we knew it was a spot when we came back.
Took pictures of
right?
the,
I put
the
like
spot.
I grabbed like a bunch of rocks and piled them up. I put X marks with tree branches on both sides of the path and made sure like that's our stop. It was.
I feel like going camping is such a rewarding trip because you're stepping out of your own element and your own comfort zone, and then at the same time, like, everyone's being challenged in their own ways, and especially the kids. Like, they were okay with being in the dark.
Yeah.
They were okay with all the bugs everywhere.
Enzo loves sleeping on the floor with me.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I was surprised too.
Yeah, because usually he likes to like stay with
Leia
me,
wasn't though. She said, "I'm gonna stay on this air mattress." What did she say?
I don't remember. She was just like, "Well, I was just trying to picture myself on the floor," and no, and I'm like, "I get it, girl." But yeah, like them also not caring too much about like getting dirty. Like they actually loved it, and they're like trying to play with the dirt and do all these kid things, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, just the fact that they were so okay with everything.
I would say that this camping trip that we just took, they were the rowdiest and happiest I've ever seen them.
True.
I've never seen Leia be so silly before.
Mm-hmm.
And she was silly every night when there's a bonfire. Every time she ate in her camping chair, like
it was the s'mores. That's one thing too that I felt like.
Even before that, though, she would still be the silly person. I'm like, who is she right now?
Yeah, because they're just so excited. Like it's a whole new experience, and you get to see the stars and everything, and just being in nature and being away from everything. Like no technology, no access to like phones and communication with other people.
Yeah.
Like it felt really good just to disconnect and be away from everything.
And they stopped being scared of potential bears coming. Because
Yeah.
we were talking about that a lot. Like, I was reading reviews and people say we'll see 1 to 2 bears a day,
Yeah, and they have bear boxes where you have to put all your stuff in there, and you're just kind of freaking out a little bit. Like, oh, I can't even have like lotions and soaps that have scents because you don't know what's going to attract them. So we're just trying to prepare for it. And then there's all these signs too that are like, oh, active bear zone, and be careful if there's a bear, do this and da da da. So I think at one point I was like, and we just gotta stop mentioning the B word because
but
they're getting scared.
We never saw any bears, which I'm a little bit sad.
No, I'm glad we did not.
Me and Enzo woke up earlier than you and Leia at one time, and we saw a family of deers walking around next to us.
That's cool.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
And then no one else saw this but me. I saw this animal under my truck, right? Because you can park your truck next to your campsite. And I saw it running around under my truck, and it looked like a little rat. And I'm like, why is there a rat running around? There's no rats here. And I was like, no, there's no way it's a rat. But I just saw it running around, and I kept looking at it, and I had no idea. And I told you about it the next morning.
Yep.
And what did you say it was?
It was a Pikachu.
How did
Pikachu.
How did I not know?
I don't know.
It looked like a mouse.
How did you? Well,
without
Pikachu
the tail.
was kind of like a rat, right? Because like we went into like they have this the second campsite. Wait, did you see it at the first or second?
No, this was at Sequoia at where the river was. So it was our second campsite.
Okay.
And it looked like half bunny, half rat.
Yeah, that's a Pikachu. So they have this little like store and a help center that you can go to, and we're walking to this little mini museum part that they have, and then they were showing like the Pika, and then he was like, oh, I think that's what I saw in my car. I was like, you saw a Pikachu, you saw a freaking Pokemon.
I had no idea it was a Pikachu. You're like, Pika. I was like, yeah, Pika.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And you're like, Pikachu. And I'm like, what?
Yup.
Man, I wish I would have taken some pictures.
I wish too. That would have been so cool to see.
But it was gray, like a
cute?
mouse. Yeah, it was cute.
Aww.
But I didn't know what it was, so I was just like, ugh, what if it is a mouse?
Rat, infected with illnesses.
Because it was fast. It was running around, but it wasn't like...
Did it light up?
No.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, it wasn't yellow and black, but that was the coolest animal that I saw.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But you guys also saw a deer.
We saw a deer eating along the side of the road. We also saw a frog that someone else caught in the wild.
Gosh.
So there were a bunch of mosquitoes in the campsite, and they were just walking, and it was all dark too. I don't even like. They were just like, hey, you want to see a frog? we're like trying to walk to the bathroom in the dark, and we're like, okay, sure.
Well, no, in my head, I was like, no, I don't want to see the frog. But the kids were like, yeah.
I know.
And
Yeah,
then,
that's why I was
you
like,
know,
okay.
and then the girl's like, you guys want to pet the frog? And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, don't pet it. Don't pet it.
Yeah,
It's
no.
a wild frog.
Well, Leia was like, can I touch it? She asked first.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes, and that's what shocked me because like the way that they are, they're so adventurous and they're so like open to things. And I was just like, oh wow, that's really cool, but also kind of scary at the same time because you don't know. If
Yeah. So both kids started petting the frog, and I was like, oh man, let's
Yeah.
go wash our hands.
Yeah, but that was kind of cool to see though. You know.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was such a fun trip that I kind of want to go back
Yeah.
to another campsite somewhere else.
So literally the day that we came back, that same night, we started looking for other places to camp just because it was such a cool experience.
So word of advice, guys, if you're looking for a crazy national park or a forest like Sequoia, Yosemite, Zion, places like that are well known, they get booked up months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really
didn't know
rare to find a spot. Like people book them back in February, and we're in July right now. Or
Yeah.
we're in June.
We're in June.
So it's really hard to get those spots, and I would have to look every day, and people would cancel, and I would book it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we went to a couple different campsites because I could only do 2 at a time. But
Yeah, some other tips I would say is when you're looking at campsites, I mean, if you can't book in advance because you don't know what your schedule is going to be like, just be like Aunt and look every single day to see what pops up because people cancel all the time.
yeah.
But I think for us, we wanted to find good spots where we're close enough to go to the shuttles, close enough to restrooms.
Oh, yes. So I didn't know that about camping. When you're going to a national park near the main campgrounds, they will have shuttle services to take you to the landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
There are other campsites that don't have those services, so there's
Right.
always this one main campground that everyone loves, that's the most popular, and then you have like 10 other more rural ones.
Yeah.
So
But it's more of like if you're someone who needs to use the restroom a lot, make sure you're close enough because you're going to be going often.
would you be down to not camp at a campsite
What do you mean?
and get a wilderness permit and go camp somewhere off trail?
No.
Why?
No.
Why not?
Because that's where like the wild animals would go, and that's where you would be more prone to get encounters with that. I would
you
think.
sure?
I feel like yes, and then I feel like it's a lot easier to get lost too. I keep hearing these stories. Like there was this guy who just got lost in the woods. I don't know where for 10 days.
I saw his photo. He was all dirty.
Yes,
and-
10
yeah.
days, and I'm like, dude. Imagine we did that. Like, how would I was literally thinking about this last night, and I was
Well-
like, how would it be? Oh my gosh, what will we do? It's us and 2 kids.
We
gotta
were
take care
prepared. So
of- True.
So what I did was I brought 2 big totes. I use them as camping boxes. When you go to like Costco, Home Depot, there's that big black box with a yellow lid. And so we bought 2 of those. One was filled with all camping gear. Another box was filled with all food.
Mm-hmm.
And, the camping gear included like emergency stuff, right? We got like life water straws, right? In
First
case you got to
aid
drink from the
kits.
river.
Mm-hmm.
We got all these flashlights. We got glow sticks. We got heat blankets in case we needed those, like foil blankets,
Yes,
right?
yep.
I got hand warmers. I got fire starters.
Matches.
I got an axe that I brought.
Yes.
Everything. We were prepared for anything to happen.
True. But then when you go into those wilderness areas, like deep into the woods, there's no bear boxes for you to use. So where would that go? You would be attracting more than just bears. It might be like
We're just gonna
lions
gonna fight for our lives. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And a lot of food that we bought, we thought it was going to be so extreme that we ended up buying dehydrated packets of food that you kind of like eat in the army or like really in the woods.
And those were
And
for
so
in case of emergencies.
It would be like beef stroganoff
Yeah.
in like this foil package, and you put boiling water in it, and then in like 4 minutes you eat it.
Yeah, those
know?
actually didn't taste too bad.
Yeah, we got the breakfast scramble egg
Yeah.
with sausage and bacon, and that was really good.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. So we had more than enough food if we were lost for, I don't know, like I would say we probably would have survived a month.
but I don't want to like go through something like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, but I'm
So
still
no.
prepared.
Yes, we would be prepared for sure.
Yeah.
But just thinking about having to go through that, like if it was me and you, okay. But when you have to think about taking care of like
Yeah.
little kids, oh man, that would be tough.
Yeah, I brought that big box of food, and we probably only used like a quarter of the food in that box.
Yeah, and we were hoping to catch a fish too.
Oh,
We bought
yes.
stuff for a fish and
We went
didn't
fishing
happen.
for the first time. I caught no fish,
Yeah, it's okay.
but we'll try again.
Yep.
So that's why, I don't know, this whole experience became the best family trip for me. Like, if we're talking about Hawaii and Japan and bringing the family along, those are the best trips, but because it's for you and me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, all the things we did was for you and me. Like, let's go get some spam musubis. Let's go lay down on the beach. Yes, I enjoy all that, the ocean view and stuff. But the camping was, everybody was involved the whole time.
True, because going to Hawaii, it's like very touristy, right?
Yeah.
And even though you get to be connected with nature, you're not like in nature, if that makes sense, because you're still staying in a hotel, you're still taking cars to go to places, you're going to restaurants, there's so many people. But like being like camping, you get to it's more it's more intimate too. Like
I feel like you said, the freedom, they get to do whatever they want,
Yeah.
right? So when we go to Hawaii and like you go to the beach, it's like, hey, stay in this spot.
Right.
Or like we got to go to the restaurants, and everything is like, stay close to me.
yeah, because we don't
right?
want to lose you or have someone take you because there's too many people.
Right. But when we're camping, it's like they're on the side of us and they get to do whatever they want while
Yeah.
we're trying to cook or set something up. We don't have to watch them like a hawk while we're camping.
Because everyone is still like further away to not have to worry as much.
Yeah.
But do you remember that little girl that got lost at the
Yes.
second campsite? That was
They
the
were right
scariest
next to us.
thing. Yes.
Yeah, the mom was running around screaming her name for like 10 minutes. And she
Yeah.
was so frantic.
Yeah, and I was trying to take Leia to the restroom, and then she walked past by us. She's like, "Have you seen a little girl?" I was like, no. Like, how old? Like 7. And I was like, "What is she wearing?" And then she had described it to me, and I was like, "We haven't seen her, but I'll come find you if I do."
Yeah, I was like, where was the last time you saw her? And she's like, the bathroom.
In the bathroom, because what was it? They went to the restroom and she was waiting for them outside of the restroom or something, right? And then I think she wandered off. And that's why I keep the kids so close. And I'm like, you guys cannot ever walk away or leave because of that. But like, just thinking about how scared they were walking everywhere, like screaming her name.
Yeah, there are other people, strangers, that got in their trucks and they were driving around
Yeah.
looking for her. Another guy got on his bike and started looking. I was looking nonstop too.
Yep.
You know?
I was trying to look for that
So,
little girl.
But we also have walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that was awesome.
That was very very comforting to have, because it's like if anything were to happen, I could just be like, hey,
right.
da, da, da.
Because there's no reception to use your
Right.
phone, guys.
Yep.
And literally, you're only using your phone as a camera for photos and videos. But the walkie-talkies, like, man, like it's an 8-mile radius, $20 on Amazon. Like, it was awesome.
Get it. Definitely get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I loved. I think, even though it's just our recent trip, and I feel like maybe if any recent trip we took, I might have said that was the best trip. Because we do take really good trips.
True. But at the same time, like one of my favorite parts of this trip was actually driving back
Yes.
from the campsite, because we got to drive through a lot of areas that we weren't familiar with, and just to see all these new things. Usually when we take long drives somewhere, I tend to try to sleep, right? But I was so intrigued by everything, seeing all these small towns, seeing how people were living in these certain areas. It's like where all the farms are, and like how small and old these like stores and houses were.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool to see, and I think that was just such a crazy experience.
That was the first time where, every time we drive anywhere, okay, short or long distance, she's always on her phone playing games on her phone, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh, did you see that? And she's like, no. Or you see this? No. And that's why you're also so bad at directions and knowing where you are, because you don't pay attention. So that was the first time where you didn't use your phone while driving.
Yeah.
While I was driving and you're sitting passenger, like you didn't use your phone. You're looking at everything.
Yep.
Even when we're camping and on the last day, I was like, hey, I got reception on my phone. And you're like, I don't want to use it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
I just didn't want to get back onto my phone at all because I just was enjoying being present in the moment. And I feel like, actually, yeah, like we should go camping more because I actually really like that.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it felt good.
Like I said, it was like the first time we were so fully involved in everything. The kids were involved, and I love that part about it.
Yeah, and if you're gonna go camping and you have kids, like make sure that everyone's gonna be involved and that everyone will help because I feel like we had good teamwork with that, and it was a lot of work, but we tried to help each other to get things done more efficiently. Because I even suggested this to one of my friends. I'm like, hey, like it was so cool, you guys should try and go. And she was like, well, I don't know because like my husband, I don't know if he wants to get dirty like that, or I don't know how much he'll help, So I'm like, oh, that's horrible.
I know.
So don't do it because it's a lot of work.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, forget it, don't, because it's too much.
I loved it so much that we went to North Face store recently here in Vegas, and I bought this shirt. You can't see the back, but it says, what does it say? Something about, never stop exploring is what it says.
Yeah, and he tried to make me get a shirt too. He also got a fishing hat.
Dude, it's a whole new lifestyle. Like, I just now fell in love with the brand because of this lifestyle change that happened to us.
That's true.
And now it's like, this brand has a whole new meaning to me. We would pass by the store every single time at the outlets. I would see the store all the time, and I never cared for
nothing, it. Yeah.
Now it means so much.
I guess that's how people find passions in life, right? By exploring and doing different things.
Right. So that's why when they say, what do you want to do? What job you want to do? I don't know. You just got to try everything, pick up new hobbies, and then you're going to fall in love with it. Right. Yeah. Because now it's like, I'm falling in love with camping, and I'm falling in love with this brand North Face. And who knows? Maybe now I got some sparks to create something for camping, invent some new fire starter, invent this new tent. Who knows? But that's how passions start.
Yeah.
You just got to try stuff. So, on 3, we're going to say what was the best small family trip we've ever taken. All right. 1, 2, 3. Camping.
Still Hawaii. Still Hawaii.
All right.
I love the beach and the water.
Yeah, I mean, it was the best trip for you and me. Yeah. I don't know if it was for the kids.
River water was amazing, but it was so cold, and you're kind of scared to go in there because it's moving so fast where we were.
So next time we'll go to another river where it's not so forceful.
Yeah.
And we'll find one where it can be more like a lazy river, so we can chill.
Yes.
Right.
So until then, I think Hawaii will still be my favorite until we find the best camping spot.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, camping for
but
me,
I still
guys.
loved it. It was awesome.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys are starting a family, have a family, make sure you guys spend time to go on vacations. Take that time out of your work life to go anywhere you can with your family. Okay. There's, for a lot of you guys, maybe you guys go with your parents, and congratulations. That is, you should be very grateful for that, because every time I ask my mom, do you want to go somewhere? She always says no. So if you have a mom and a grandma or dad or grandpa that wants to go somewhere with you, go with them.
Take that
because
trip.
I don't have that opportunity, and it sucks. So I hope you guys get to take every opportunity you can. Go travel, go explore, and have fun. Yep. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the Love and Rice podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio, TikTok, and Instagram, and YouTube. Leave us some comments, whatever you guys want to do. We'll see you guys next time on Love and Rice.
Bye-bye.